Sure. It'd be my
And
pleasure.
I will share the agenda so that you've got it.
Well, thank you. And thank you everybody for being here today. Let's see. Let's start with a roll call. I'm Commissioner Conway, so I'm going to say I'm here. Commissioner Linsky, are you around? I see a shaking of the head, so I'm going to move on. I heard him already, Co-Chair Parsons.
I am here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I know he was just mentioned, but he's next on my list. Commissioner Stackhouse, have you shown up in those 3.5 seconds? No Stackhouse just yet. Commissioner Kerr, are you around?
Yep.
Welcome, Mr. Kerr. Commissioner Martin? All right. And lastly, Commissioner Rowden.
Here.
Hello, Commissioner Rowden, welcome. Thank you for being here. All right, so yeah, looks like a couple people still maybe find their way here, but we're gonna keep on powering through because as mentioned, I have to be gone by 6 o'clock tonight and next week as well. And just for a quick plug, it's because I got casted the new play The Foreigner at Theatricos. Opens May 20th. If you want to come by, go get your tickets. May 20th, 3 weeks showing. So I gotta zip on out of here, hit rehearsal time. So thank you for your flexibility. Rolling into the approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes provided as part of the packet from the meeting of March 21st? If so, I would love to entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I read those and I'll present a motion to approve. Commissioner Parsons.
Thank you, Commissioner Parsons. We have a motion to approve those minutes. Does anybody second that motion?
Commissioner Kerr will second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Kerr. And in case has anybody seen anything on the minutes that needs to be adjusted, please let us know. Otherwise, vote in aye for approving of the minutes from March. I'm going to say aye.
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 Righteous, those minutes have been approved. Public participation. This portion of the meeting is for items that are not on the agenda. The Commission cannot act on items presented during the public participation of the agenda. The Commission is prohibited by open meeting law from discussing or considering the item until such a time that the item is officially placed on an agenda. And please limit comments to 5 minutes. Do we have any members of the public here to participate in this part of our agenda? Okay. Just cruising through. We're already at number 4, man. This is easy. All right, number 4. Let's talk about commission meetings and in-person or hybrid options and locations. I assume I'll turn this over to Rebecca to start.
This is where I come to a screeching halt in our cruising. I feel like you might already be getting in character, Mr. Chairperson.
I gotta work my vocal exercises and yeah, I'll get going.
Love it, awesome. No, this one actually I was hoping would be longer because I was hoping I would have some good information to share, at least in terms of how this was going to work. But we the city staff have had to delay our training on equipment and things like that. We are not going to be meeting in council chambers. We are going to be meeting at the Aquaplex when we do come back. I'm really hopeful that that will be in May. So that will be our May 16th meeting. I'm actually going to be on vacation, so another heads up on that one, but you will be in the very capable hands of Amy Hagan and Beck Thomas. And hopefully we have this training first. And what the training is about is just equipment so that we can be hybrid. So the request moving forward is that we continue to offer these electronic type or virtual meetings because it does help usually with our quorum. And it also helps the public engage in the way that they're most comfortable or is most convenient. So it's providing that extra option for the public. The training will consist of the equipment needed, like there's portable cameras and microphones that are more conference room style, not just the little camera that we have on a monitor or something. How to set those up to optimize the case or the meeting. And that's what we're hoping to do here within the next couple of weeks. So I'll have more information on that. But like I said, we are hopeful for May. You will hear from us before your next meeting if that is not going to be possible, if we need to continue with virtual for one more meeting. But I really do hope us to be in person in June. And June, I think we can talk about it briefly, but I think will be helpful if you could all plan to attend the June meeting in person, because I think if things pan out the way we're kind of planning them out, that'll be a really good time for some deep dive on projects and building out our 5-year plan with the money available in our BBB Recreation Fund. We'll have more information in June on how much that money is, exactly the types of projects and project estimates that we can start plugging into that 5-year plan. And we'll have a tool that Beck has been working on for us to help with prioritization. I know we had a discussion on this last month, but hope to drill a little bit further down and actually start putting projects on paper. So in June, we're really hoping for in-person yeah. So that's where we are. We'll keep you posted on May and do make plans for it in June. And we'll still meet on the same day, so the third Monday of the month at 4 o'clock. The only difference will be hybrid options and in person at the Aquaplex if you're comfortable with that.
Okay, great. I look forward to hearing more about this, and it's cool that we're going toward that hybrid model, because I agree that it does lend itself for more participation and for carving out the time in one's schedule much easier than accounting for drive time on the 4th Street Bridge at 3:30 p.m. Can be kind of problematic. So happy to be there for the important in-person meetings, but I know for me, I really appreciate that hybrid model because it's just a little bit easier, and so I appreciate that that's the way the city's thinking. I just want to have anything to say regarding the in-person hybrid option, or potentially an in-person June meeting to look at priorities and whatnot. Does anybody else have any comments on that?
I know I'm looking forward to it. Being on this commission for a year and a half and not being able to be in any in-person meeting, it'll be fun to actually do that. So I know I'm excited. So.
Yeah, me too. The entire time I've been on this commission, it's been virtual. So it'll be nice. Okay. Ready to move on then to discussion item 4B, project review and update. So we have a couple projects on there that we've discussed at different times and some at length. Who am I turning this over? Amy? Looks like you unmuted.
It will be me. Thank you, Chairperson Conway. So first we'll start off with West Side Park. And happy to pull up any maps if that helps anyone orient themselves with what it is that we're actually talking about. So West Side Park, this was a project that with a previous commission that we began, I want to say almost 3 years ago, when we had funding pre-pandemic identified for it. It's 5.3 acres, if my Math is correct. Just behind the Staples Commercial Center off Woodlands Village Boulevard. And then the other nearest right away would be Highland Mesa. And it's in the Boulder Point subdivision neighborhood area where there is, according to that ROA, about 572 mixture of single family and townhomes. So a lot of residents that live in that area. There's also an existing urban trail connection that takes you underneath I-40 and connects to the University Heights subdivisions. So Reach is a pretty large, a map would be helpful, you got it. Reach is a pretty large space for us where we do not have a neighborhood park in that region whatsoever. It was also an area identified previously in our 2013 Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So this became a very high priority in a strategic planning efforts with a previous commission. And we found out this past March, so this green area is the location. I can also, upon request, turn on different filters if anyone likes to see more of an aerial image. The brown line here is the existing urban trail. It is asphalt surface at this time. Staples Commercial Center, I believe a Bank of America, and a couple other items. Some new commercial has gone in, and there's some new commercial under development here along Woodlands Village Road. Let's get some labels because that may help also. And then Highland Mesa. We learned in March at our budget presentations that there is funding has come back again to develop this park. Pretty exciting news, pretty amazing. So we kind of need to start thinking about what that looks like for us, for the city and for the commission, and start to re-energize those efforts. Where we left off when this project was at a pause standpoint, we were talking with the residential association regarding access, because I'll zoom in a little bit here and turn on another filter. It's a heavily treed parcel. There is a little section here, and it's hard to see in this image. Let's go back to this one. See, so again, the green outline would be the city's property, so the acreage that is identified for the future park. This empty gray space, white is the road. This empty gray space is what's called Tract C, kind of an open space within the subdivision when it was developed. We do need access to this park from the right-of-way. So that's why we were talking about it with the ROA and discussing what does that access look like, as they've got kind of an open space treed area that pretty much wraps around this entire park entrance. You know, another feature to consider is, I'll turn on a different layer here. This side of South Highland Mesa Road does not have a sidewalk, so it does not have a safe route for the neighborhood to get to the park. So I do know that that will certainly be a consideration, if not even a requirement, when we go through any design review process for the development of this park. The sidewalk ends right here where there's a connection to the asphalt urban trail that again winds through the property. So I do think we at the least need a sidewalk and some edge improvements on this side of Highland Mesa. So we're going to start re-energizing those communications with the ROA. I believe I'm on the board's agenda next week to discuss it and bring it back, bring it forward and begin those conversations again. Then, you know, next step would be, we currently have from October of 2019 a concept plan. I'm happy to show that if the commission would like to see that, because I know many members not on this commission were here to see that, so can certainly show that too, if that's ideal, or even email it out to our commission for just for a little catch up, a little review, just a concept plan. That is it. We use that concept plan for some spatial exercises on what could really fit on the 5.3 acres, and used it to create some estimate on cost, which is how we developed the, yes, you would love that. Happy to do that. We did it to develop some costs, and that's how we got to the value that is now back in our wheelhouse to develop this park. So it is $1.5 million to develop our first park at all since 2003, 2004 era. Again, this is a category of a neighborhood park. So, you know, we're going to want to talk about what type of amenities are appropriate and adequate for a neighborhood park versus a larger community or regional park. We'll also want to discuss with the, I think that both neighboring communities, University Heights and Boulder Point, and do some outreach on what is the community wanting in this neighborhood park. So those will be some of the tasks that we're faced with to kind of dial in that concept plan a little bit more, which will then enable us to get to actual construction drawings and have those designed. And then there'll certainly be a bidding process and a contractor identified to fully develop the park for us. Is there any interest right now in showing what that concept plan looked like a few years ago? There are some sloping issues, not issues, but there's some pretty generous sloping as this parcel comes down from Highland Mesa down to Woodlands Village Boulevard. There probably would be a reroute of the existing urban trail, so it's not cutting through right through the middle of the park, unless we can get pretty innovative and crafty and figure out a way to keep it and have it become a part of an amenity within that space. Is there any interest in showing what that concept plan looks like at this time? Again, I'll email it out to the commission so they have it.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And also, I have a question just because I don't know how parks are made, and this is fun learning for me. Because I know the city with our like carbon neutrality plans and like all that to keep emissions down. Like, what does building a park do for, like, does that increase? Like, what are those outputs? I'm trying to figure out how to answer or ask my question. What's
what are those
the carbon
impacts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually an excellent question. You know, this part of town, we do not have reclaimed water. So that was a talking point and a consideration where it's probably not wise to have a lot of turf when we be having to use potable water to water it and keep it green. It is heavily treed. And there is, again, a pretty significant slope to it coming downward. So I think a lot of that, the natural terrain will need to come into play when we're trying to figure out what is most ideal to be placed inside this park. I think those are some excellent questions. And yes, we do have an adopted carbon neutrality plan to be mindful of too. Yes, you're correct, Commissioner Parsons. The parking, you know, is a parking lot required in a neighborhood park when we're wanting individuals to walk or ride their bike there versus drive and park? And some of that comes into play, I think, also with the amenities that we elect to place there. And gosh, it was 2018. Holy cow, time flies. Let me show what that, again, concept plan, that is it, a handful of years old at this point. And this is the concept plan. Gives an idea, though, a little bit for this group on what can be done spatially with something like this. So up here at the top of the page is Highland Mesa Road. Again, that's that road that currently is lacking that sidewalk or those edge improvements to the right of way. The concept plan at the time showed a 15 space parking lot. I'll probably be leaning quite a bit on this commission on, is that really necessary an expenditure, and is that the right thing to do for a neighborhood park? You know, typical features of a park would be a play structure. So there was certainly a play structure here involved. There's a kind of a neat existing rock outcropping on the property. That's what this is here. So that could also be a feature. There is some turf shown. I think we would want some amenities like a ramada, possibly continue or add on to the footpath, or do we create like another walking path around? In visiting the site, I would say the adjacent neighbors and property certainly use the site as an impromptu dog park right now. And there's also a lot of social trails on the property. So we were showing a dog park, again, just at concept stage. We were showing a basketball court as you think of what are those neighborhood activities that you want the youth or adults to be able to walk and go do near their home. We were showing something unique that we don't have currently in Flagstaff as far as a slackline course that is using some significant rope slack lines to create some balance areas, especially with the tree space that we have here. We were showing some sport courts, possibly some lawn games. Also something else that we don't have within city limits, we were showing a pump track, so a bicycle pump track. And again, these were just some ideas that we were throwing out there just to create this concept. This also gives, so outside this red line boundary, at one point in time, there were discussions, could there be a future park expansion? Again, that is not the city's property. That is the subdivision in the ROA's property and what is labeled as Tract C, if anyone dug into any of the platted information. But this is incredibly exciting. We have a really cool project coming back online for us to deliver this park. I do think we need to be mindful of anything regarding carbon neutrality, anything regarding those climate impacts that could occur. I think you're right, Commissioner Parsons. We'll have to discuss heavily a parking lot, and is it necessary to really deliver this for the community? Because there's certainly a cost associated with building a parking lot. And again, doing that outreach to the two large communities on what do they really want in the park. Is there anything else I can show the commission initially for what is the West Side Park?
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you mentioned that there's no potable water that runs out here. So we would have to like insert that, or we would just do no grass?
Commissioner Kerr, there's no reclaimed water.
Reclaimed, sorry.
Correct. So there's potable water. So when I put my carbon neutrality or climate hat on, to me, to have a lot of turf is really going against what we're trying to do, including with our partners in water conservation. Okay. So it wouldn't be something I would suggest without that reclaimed line there.
Okay. And so that's just like a whole other thing that the city would have to consider, is putting a reclaim line in there.
Yes, and that's a pretty steep expenditure. There's not a reclaim main line anywhere nearby, unfortunately. So I don't see that happening anytime in the near future.
Cool. Okay, no worries. Just thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else on West Side Park? And we'll certainly dive more into these details. This was just to give kind of a quick overview, refresher on what some upcoming projects that are going to be coming our way with the funding that we are going to be granted. Commissioner Parsons, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I was just going to see if you could talk about the process moving forward. I think in our last meeting, you indicated that with Thorpe Park Annex, this was kind of going to be pushed into next year as far as community outreach and so on and so forth. So I was just wondering if you could speak more about the process here on out.
Sure, absolutely. Yes, with us just finding out last month that this funding is back available, and since we are pretty heavily involved in the Thorpe Park Annex participation at this time, I think what we'll do, again, have a meeting next week with the ROA to re-energize those conversations regarding our access up the public right-of-way. That's first step and the initial step here, because that will start to then, I think, indicate some of the potential expenditures with this, but also so we can start to shape up what this looks like. And then I do think that we'll need to start having, and I think what we'll do is take a little pause on this, not flood the community with so much public participation, and in July start to get those conversations going and scheduled with the community on outreach for this project. Really want to avoid some confusion so that no one is confused about what it is that PROS is asking the community at this time between the two projects, because they differ quite a bit. So I would anticipate in July, we'll start to begin some public outreach on this, or start to get that scheduled. And then, you know, honestly, and gosh, who knows now with today's industries, we used to be able to say that something could go cradle to grave in 18 months on delivering something like this. I would hope that we can still be that effective and actually locate a contractor and develop this. But if we get going in July, I think we can anticipate that we'll have a developed neighborhood park in 2024 completed. Any other questions on Westside Park?
No, it sounds great. Thank you for that explanation, and seeing the concept art definitely helps kind of bridge that. And I'd love, you know, when we get a chance to look at it in our in between meeting time, I'm sure we'll formulate some questions. Actually, a lot of the things I'd written down from even just initially, you guys are already all over it. So it sounds great, and looking forward to hear more about this project.
Perfect. Okay, we will jump then to letter B, pickleball courts. So other exciting information that we have received is we feel very strongly that we will have funding next fiscal year, so July 1st, 2022, so in a handful of months, to deliver, we're hoping at least 4 to 6, or as many as we can get, pickleball courts, permanent pickleball courts, to add to the 2 existing that we have in Ponderosa Park. Location, however, is right now concept identified as Bushmaster Park, where we do have undeveloped land there. And I know we've talked about that a few months ago with this commission. So that is right now still the identified spot to attempt to deliver permanent pickleball courts. So that also would be a big project to occur next year for us. Any questions on pickleball courts?
Did you say how many pickleball courts?
You know, we'd love to get as many as possible. Escalation is out of control. I think we all know that on construction costs. So it's really hard to, you know, it's a preliminary estimating that we did last winter that was presented to this commission was showing in upwards of 6 lighted. We hope that we could get for around $700,000. That was including design fees. I really think, you know, once that funding hits on July 1st, we've got to pass go, and we've got to get the designs made, do some outreach to the community, because that is a unique park, the way that residents pretty much surround all 4 sides of it. Do that outreach, get the project designed, and then get it out to bid and find out how many can we really get with the funding that we have. I have talked with the Pickleball Association a handful of times, so they're aware of this potential. We've discussed if there would be any grant opportunities. This could or could not be an ideal project for a grant opportunity. You know, one of the, I guess, drawbacks to a grant opportunity is that slows it down, because the city does not have the funding until July 1st. So if it's a matching opportunity, we might be slowed up a little bit. So in speaking with the Flagstaff Pickleball Association, I think that they're a partner at the table with us on this, and they too want to hit the ground running on July 1st when that funding hits, and let's attempt to get as many courts as we can. That is also in agreement with the community. Pretty exciting stuff. It also develops a piece of a large community park that's undeveloped. And this just helps bring some of that forward, I think, in continuing to improve Bushmaster Park.
And with the pickleball courts, are they rented? Are they reserved like a tennis court? Like when the Pickleball Association descends upon the courts, is that like a reservation? Is there revenue being generated by the building of these courts?
Currently, no. Well, yes and no. So what is interesting is we do have some court fees that are associated with our tennis courts when FUSD utilizes them. Sometimes when there's a couple tennis leagues in town or associations, when they have host tournaments, there are some fees associated with that. I do think that that will be a part of the discussion point, Chairperson Conway, where we will need to talk with the Pickleball Association, depending on how many courts we can deliver. What does that look like for tournament play? And what does that fee structure look like? At least we have something to go off of regarding sport courts already. But I do think that we'll need to take a look at that. I'm not aware of FUSD having pickleball as a sport yet. Doesn't mean it may not happen. So I'm not sure about any revenue generation from that. Obviously, there would be heads and beds, so BBB tax potentially spent. I see Rebecca's hand is up.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, thanks, Amy, for bringing up the structure that we already have, which is council approved for our other sport court amenities. I think it's important to remember that at least Flagstaff's philosophy to date has been our sport courts are available to the public for free. But if you want exclusive use for something like a tournament, then it would be a reservation would be required. And then absolutely there's a revenue source associated with that fee. Our fees are pretty low, have to tell you. Whether it's a nonprofit organization that's reserving it for a tournament or a commercial outfit, those fees are different. They're much higher for a for-profit commercial type entity. But that said, I think I just wanted to make clear that for the most part, if a group is not asking for exclusive use, they'll be open and available to the public for free, which is kind of our intent for having these public courts available in an existing park versus like a racket complex. When we're able to build that, I think that would be something different. That would likely be a membership-based opportunity with fees generated that would help recover some of the costs associated with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously we have something very similar at the county. From what I've heard, it sounds like there's a group in town who takes over the pickleball courts, and I don't know whether there's a membership fee to belong to their group or whatever, what have you, but it isn't truly open for public use if one group is there every Tuesday on a regular basis to do their drop-in play. Is that not then kind of reserved for that group and not available for drop-in users if there's a consistent schedule for which I'm constantly going to this court to use? But I also, the counterpoint to that is like, well, they're open for use, and they're, that's who's using them, that's who's using them. So I was just curious in these 4 examples, if there was going to be revenue generated, and in any of them, I figured pickleball court would be the one that would have some revenue generation at some point.
Yeah, I do just want to make clear, the association has been very much involved because of their volunteers that are setting up the temporary nets. So that's the only reason that they've been organizing. Otherwise, their play is open to the public. So, even if their members are there playing, and someone comes up with their, as their family and wants to play, they'll work into the rotation. So just wanted to make that distinction as well. It's not like they're keeping anyone out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's definitely more of what I was picturing, was that the keeping of people out. But if it's a very inclusive group, then that's wonderful. That's perfect. Anybody else, commissioners on the pickleball court, or Amy, or I don't know if I interrupted part of in the middle of your spiel, but since we're kind of talking, anybody else have any thoughts on the pickleball courts, either from staff or commissioners? All right, I think we've talked pickleball to death for the night.
We will go to item C, Thorpe Park. So this is actually Thorpe Park. I'm gonna pull up This is the Thorpe Park playground space. So right along Thorpe Road, just kind of to the southwestish of the 4 tennis courts. This play structure, which is for our 2 to 5-year-old age group, aging, we're having some issues with any miscellaneous parts that are obsolete. Park staff, we met, gosh, maybe a month ago, took a look at our funding and decided, what can we do? Can we get a replacement play structure on this one? You know, it's a little bit smaller than some of our larger structures. So we've done so. That's to give an image of the existing one. So we have ordered a new one. It's actually very complimentary to, if good grief, if I can get it open, I can. We have a new play structure for, again, ages 2 to 5 coming to Thorpe Park. It should arrive probably around the end of this month and be installed in May. We ensured that it has 2 slides. It has a shade structure, which will be lovely for the kids because that's a pretty sunny area in that spot. Some stairs, some pretty cool climbing pieces on it for appropriate for that age group. And it will fit in that existing space because if you noticed on that previous image, there is a retaining wall going around the space. And then some of the colors complement the adjacent structure that is for ages 5 plus that was installed, if I'm not mistaken, in 2015, 2016. It's pretty exciting stuff to get a nice little play structure for our toddlers in the community at probably one of our heaviest used parks. So that is what the item C is on our agenda. Any questions about this? Nothing. All right, I will move on. Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen, Commissioner Parsons, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So there are no other site changes like changing of the retaining wall or any other sidewalks or anything associated with installing this?
Correct, none. So that was ideal for us to be as effective as possible with the funding that we could identify in our budget through some savings elsewhere. Nope, nothing else will be impacted. We were hopeful to be able to have a pour-in-place surface like we do on the larger play structure. That unfortunately did not meet budget, but is something that we'll have it hopefully in the future that we'll be able to afford. So it'll remain the softball, the engineered wood chips, which are still accessible for all. But it would be nice to match the pour-in-place that is on the adjacent structure someday.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. If no other questions on the Thorpe Park play structure, so lastly, I guess they're not even lettered, they're just bullet points, my goodness. Recreation projects. All right, recreation projects. So right now, going on this as we speak, we are having the carpeting replaced at the Josie Montoya Community and Senior Center. Pretty exciting stuff to get that carpet replaced there. We are doing the carpet tiles because I do think that those will be significantly easier to maintain and replace if we need to, if we're unable to keep those spick and span and spotless clean. So that's going on right now. Staff are doing an excellent job because we did need to move all the furniture out, and then the activity is occurring with the contractor in the evenings. So we're excited to get that installed. Also some other recreation projects, both at Hal Jensen Recreation Center and at Josie Montoya. We have 2 pieces of fitness equipment on order and on their way. So pretty exciting stuff to add to the fitness equipment in both those areas. You know, this past, or I guess it was almost 2 weeks ago, the Aquaplex went through our annual maintenance where we did some deep cleaning there. There is also some fitness equipment on order for that location that was in the Aquaplex's budget. We had a little bit of a pause on that during the pandemic while the facility was closed, but we do have some replacement equipment there. Similar to our play structures, we really, staff keep an eye on proper maintenance on the fitness equipment, as well as a correct kind of O&M maintenance replacement schedule for that. So some pretty exciting things going on also in our recreation centers. Any question on any of those projects? All right, if the commission is ready, we will go to item C, the Buffalo Park grant. Buffalo Park grant. Okay, we were PROS was awarded the grant a few months ago. We worked through the cultural resource study, which is a required document to submit for the agreement with state parks to be generated. That was submitted, I think I celebrated on Monday, April 11th. So that is with state parks. They do need approximately 2 to 4 weeks for review of the full grant package, and then they will deliver to the city an agreement. I do have right now a tentative date with City Council to take the grant agreement and the final resolution for it. I believe it's on May 17th. All my digits are crossed that date doesn't need to extend any further. So that would be the next step after receiving the agreement from state parks. And then the fun begins, where then the funding hits. Again, there's a certain match from the city in cash, in kind, and then there's the grant match from Arizona State Parks. A pretty exciting project. Do all commissioners know what the Buffalo Park grant project is? Because we may have had some commissioners begin possibly since the last time that we have discussed that project.
I don't.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Stackhouse. Thank you, no problem. And again, while I talk, I could possibly search and find a document that helps describe what it is. So in working with some community members and working with our multimodal transportation planner, we developed a grant application with state parks for there's a 2-mile foots loop at Buffalo Park. It's actually, as you see in your monthly reports, it's the heaviest used foots loop that we know of today as far as our trail counters are concerned. I want to say, gosh, I think for the year of 2021, there were over 114,000 individuals, I think, that passed by one of the trail counters, heavily used. We do have a 3 ADA stall permanent restroom that we delivered in February of 2020. And then we've got this 2-mile loop. And so in speaking with the community, this was an ideal location in our grades of the trail match to do our newer foots mix. It's a 1/4 inch minus decomposed granite that really works well. So it honestly, it's a very excellent surface for wheelchair accessibility. So part of the grant we will pave in a colored concrete so that it still matches that natural environment at Buffalo Park. 4 ADA parking spaces close to the entrance of the park, or actually at the entrance of the park. Connect a colored concrete walkway that'll take all individuals through the entrance to the park. That walkway will connect to the existing colored concrete walkway that goes to the restrooms. And then there are signage that will clearly identify what is the accessible route. It will be the first accessible trail, designated accessible trail out of the 59 miles of the foots, but also in Flagstaff. Pretty exciting stuff in working with everybody. And sorry, I'm talking as searching for a document in case if that document's helpful to kind of show what this may look like. We'll go, actually for ease, we'll go map view of Buffalo Park. Again, makes that 2-mile loop accessible, adds accessible parking spaces, and here we go. Let me share this document for my screen. Okay, Buffalo Park. So you come down Gemini here, and it's an unimproved parking lot. It's a dirt cindered parking lot. Right here is where if everyone can see my cursor, is where the 4 ADA parking spaces will be developed. And then again, a concrete walkway bringing you through, and then taking every one through, filling this in with concrete. There's already a stamped concrete plaza right here where there are some concrete benches, a water fountain, and a dog water fountain. And so we'll pave a strip here to connect to the existing restroom. Here's the existing permanent restroom right now. Then it takes us through, this is where the trail is really wide. But honestly, if everyone follows me going counterclockwise, this entire loop is, and then coming this way, is deemed 100% accessible. We'll put the new trail mix down because right now there's some bigger aggregates, if anyone is familiar with this section of the trail. So it'll be the new decomposed granite. We'll grade it out a little bit, add the new mix, and be deemed 100% accessible. A really amazing project to be able to deliver for the community. We're pretty excited about it. Any questions on Buffalo Park grant? Commissioner Parsons.
Yeah, will there be any areas where you need to add railing for ADA compliance, or is everything going to be at that minimum or maximum slope of 5%?
Correct. Yes, everything will be at that minimum or maximum slope of 5%. Down, I'll zoom in. There are some social trails that do not meet that grade. And one of them being right here, and it's technically not supposed to be a part of the urban trail, but if you walk out of the permanent restroom and look directly to your left, that section of a social trail that's been created over years is not accessible. I think there are some grades in there of around 12%. That will not be a part of this project. It will be clearly signed on what the accessible route is. At the new kiosk that we worked with our partners in beautification, that kiosk and that map already shows the accessible route. So it's already identified there. But again, we'll do some signage along the trail so that it's clearly marked on what the accessible route is.
Great. I love that steep route going down to the left there.
Did you create that?
I've been on it many times, so I've probably helped. Anyhow, and then in the past you've mentioned about replacement of some of the exercise stations there too, and I didn't know if that was part of this grant funding as well.
That was. Thank you, Commissioner Parsons, for that reminder. So the existing park has 18 parkour locations, and all 18 of them have railroad ties that block off the station from the trail. So we have a budgeted for at least 6, but I believe all 6 that we've identified, they're universal workout stations. And I believe all 6 of them are dual-sided. So essentially 12 exercises will come out of these 6 pieces of equipment. So 6 of those 18 locations will have replaced equipment. And then the other remaining, and if we can do more, we will do more. The other remaining parkour stations, park staff, we're going to take down those rail ties and again, grade it out, ensure that we have fresh softball. So similar to the fall zone and the surface that we use at our play structures, because that is accessible. So that way all of them are accessible to use. We have been walking the site, staff have been, so that we can start to predetermine which of the parkour stations are replaced with the universal equipment, which are most ideal to replace. A lot of the structures out there are wood members that have deteriorated over time or mechanically affixed. And so there is a lot of maintenance on some of them. So we're pretty excited to replace a few of those and get some really neat universal workout equipment out there.
make a recommendation. I would switch out the ones that actually don't have any equipment in them. So where you
There
just,
are a few that are just a sign, whether if
Yeah.
it's yes to take your to take your pulse or
I
something
never
else.
I never see anybody in those. So it's like, who wants to do sit-ups and a bunch of bark chips? So
Right.
that's just my 2 cents.
2 cents taken. Any other questions on the Buffalo Park grant? All right, I'm sure you all are sick of hearing me talk. So let's see, what is our next item?
Next on the list is our city council liaison report. Councilmember Regina Salas, welcome.
Happy Monday, everyone, and thank you for your dedication and continued service to our city. As serving the commission is valuable. Dedicating your time and talent. Thank you. I only have two things. Well, we have a council vacancy. And the city clerk is accepting applications until 5 o'clock of April 20th. That's today. That's 2 days from today. And the only requirement is that an applicant must be a registered voter in Flagstaff and has been a resident of Flagstaff for at least a year. Have to submit a letter of interest, a resume, and answer 5 questions. So it's all in the city website. And if you wish to get more information, I can forward the press release or the press release from our public affairs director. And then later this week, council will embark on a 2-day budget retreat. So it will be held at the Aquaplex. So we'll take a deeper dive into the budgets of many departments, including, of course, pros, and see from there. And of course, I'm always the champion for pros. So turn in your budget request for council's consideration. So yes, thank you. And I'm here for questions if there are any.
I'm not seeing any hands up. It looks like you explained everything perfectly well. We're all on the same page, and thank you so much for your time and service for the community as well. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. On the next item on the agenda are the monthly highlights from the pros, which, by the way, I saw the new logo on the agenda. That's pretty cool. I like that. Was there anything from the highlights that a commissioner would like to ask a follow-up question on? Is there anything that we saw, anything that was seen in those updates that you want to follow up on? Or Rebecca, do you have something on those highlights?
I didn't have anything to call out. I did just want to bring your attention to that logo. We're kind of doing a soft rollout, if you will, of that. So thanks to Beck, you guys got to see that. And, keeping with the same theme that we used to have, same colors for recognition, but we got our whole title in there. So pretty exciting.
Very cool. I did see in the highlights that you guys have some new supervisors and hiring internally, which is great. I always like to see inward advancement. New people overseeing the Aquaplex and Jay Lively, so that's really cool. Yeah, lots of great stuff coming out of your guys' department right now. Any commissioners, anything that you guys saw that you'd like to bring up for the City Parks and Rec pros? Commissioner, Co-Chair Parsons.
I thought it was nice for a change that there was only $50 worth of vandalism. So whatever you're doing seems to be working out okay.
More time with kids in school, I think.
No. Next month might be scary, commissioners, just a pre-warning.
Excellent. And you guys don't have much of a role in Saturday's Bushmaster East Earth Day event except for permitting. Is that correct? So that's, while it's happening at Bushmaster Parks, the city Parks and Rec Department doesn't put on that event, or you guys are the permitters of the event, right? Okay, cool. Well, just so everybody, all the commissioners are aware, there's an Earth Day event Saturday at Bushmaster Park, and so the county is going to participate as a vendor.
There is, and our open space team will be there as a vendor. But yeah, most of that for Parks and Recreation is really just permitting and supporting.
Excellent. All right, well then let's move off of the monthly highlights if I haven't seen anybody raising questions. So informational, wow, wait, it's 5 o'clock and we have just like stormed through this thing. Are there informational items from staff to commissioners or the other way? Are there things that we would like to share with the Parks and Rec pros? What you got, Miss Rebecca?
So I do want to let the commission know, hopefully you've seen it on April 30th, so just a couple of weeks away. We will have our first in-person design meeting at public meeting at the Thorpe Park Annex parcel. So that address is 419 North Mogollon. The event will be from 12 to 2. There will be food trucks there, so you can come in and grab some lunch and have some time to walk around the parcel and look at the different stations that were, the different areas that were identified in the survey that I know you all participated in, and kind of look at the initial results of that survey. And then about 12:45, we will come inside the historic stone building for a short presentation, and then break out into groups to do a compatibility exercise where you're looking at compatibility of potential programming and existing uses, and then also a build a park exercise. So should be really exciting. I know we're excited for it. We're going to have another one in June. So if you can't come to this one, don't worry. We're going to do something very similar on June 11th. But yeah, we're excited to finally bring people in person and be able to start some real design work. So please tell your friends, and would really, really like to see commissioners coming out to support that project directly. And of course, I'd love to see you in person.
Co-Chair Parsons, question?
Where do we find out more information on those, or where we can direct people to find out information so we can make sure that more people attend?
You bet. We'll drop the Facebook page in the chat, Beck or Amy, if one of you could help me with that. And we will also see if maybe we can drop the flyer in the chat, or at least a link to the website, so that that's where you can direct people to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Thank you, Amy. So it looks like that's been dropped in the chat for everybody. Anything else from the pros team to commissioners? Okay. Commissioners?
Actually, I'm sorry. One more thing that I do think you might be interested in. Last week we did open up the Aquaplex 2 additional hours. Our other 3 facilities are pretty much operating at full capacity and full hours, but the Aquaplex was not. So on Monday, along with the rest of the city, we expanded hours to 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. We reopened the climbing wall on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, and we increased capacity in the pool. So also the community rooms are now available for for reservations. That's partly, we're kind of kicking that off with the council retreat that Councilmember Salas mentioned. And party room is also now available for reservations. We are not opening Kids Club quite yet. That's the babysitting area. We're still trying to get some staff hired to be able to reopen that area. But otherwise, very exciting news.
Very exciting. Commissioner Stackhouse, your hands up.
Can you repeat the date that you guys are doing that Thorpe Park thing? Is it the 30th?
April 30th.
April
So
30th at noon?
yep, that's a Saturday from noon to 2.
Noon to 2. Okay, thank you.
And there's all kinds of information in the chat. Thank you both, Beck and Amy, for for doing what I struggle at.
Okay, wonderful. And for the rest of the commissioners, Co-Chair Parsons and I did a brief presentation to the council after our last meeting before this one. So in between meetings, we did just a brief overview of the commission and touched on the unfunded project list. And I thought it went well and it was well received. I'm not sure if there's any feedback afterwards, but I thought it went well, and they seemed to appreciate hearing from us and being in the chambers and talking with them. I thought that went really well. Co-Chair Parsons, do you have anything from that experience you want to share with the other commissioners?
Not necessarily. I think it went really well. They asked us a few questions, and I think it gave them a good understanding of what we do as a commission and what we're considering, now and into the future. So hopefully they heard us, and we'll start helping fund some of these projects. Yeah, I thought it went really well.
I thought it went very well as well. We made sure a few times to drop in there. The BBB this year is accounting for 78% of base level of maintenance. So I think we said that at least twice to really let them know that we appreciate the fact that the pros get the BBB funds, but if it's going to base level operations, we can't really address this very long list that has been going on for over a couple decades. So that was part of what we went in there with, was just letting them know about the BBB money and how vast that unfunded project list is getting, and that it could have a lot of reach and impact to the community if we're able to accomplish some of those projects that we have on that list. So I just thought it went really well. Pros, did you have anything from that? I see heads nodding, so I think most of you disagree. We knocked out.
You guys totally rocked it. It was a great presentation and very well received. Thank you.
Wonderful. Happy to do it. All right. Any other commissioners with any informational items you'd like to share with us, with one another, or with the pros? All right. Then looking at next month's meeting, May 16th. Oh, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
I thought I would just bring you up to date on a couple of projects I'm working on for the city right now, since we haven't brought it up in a while, but we're getting ready. We've got out to bid for a new entry to the library, which will include all new landscaping, inclusive sidewalks that bring you to the new entryway with a plaza and integrated artwork. So that's kind of exciting stuff coming up for us to be paying attention to. So just wanted to bring that. And then there's another beautification project I'm working on over along Route 66 to integrate some additional landscape around at Fanning and Route 66. So I met with Sean today, Amy, so he was very helpful. So I appreciate that. That's it.
That's wonderful. It's really cool that you're helping on those in those other efforts, so you can bring that experience and those updates to this group. That is really cool to know that there's so much good stuff going on at the city of Flagstaff. Thank you for sharing that update. And so looking ahead for next month's meeting, so far on the agenda is a discussion for a friends group. And I know that's something Commissioner Stackhouse mentioned at the last meeting, just, starting that discussion. So that's on there for next month. Does that work, Josh?
Yep, I'm excited to talk a little bit about it. I am not the foremost expert of it, but it is something that I do for the county. I've worked with Commissioner Conway, Commissioner Conway isn't on the Friends, but he works for the Parks Department over there. So it's something that I get to do over there. And I thought, why not bring that, or at least introduce that to this group and see what you guys think.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea, something to talk about and explore. Rebecca, did you want to add anything to that? At one point, look like you had your hand up.
No, yeah, I just wanted to make sure we paused so that Commissioner Stackhouse could kind of brief you all on what that topic is and more be prepared for more discussion next month. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I just saw Commissioner Stackhouse at the last Friends of Covina County Park meeting where I was able to get some funding to collaborate with the city of Flagstaff on a concert in the park that I really want to do at Peekskill County Park. So I've been working with in my day job, working on trying to get that collaboration going. And the Friends is a way that we can help projects come to fruition in a easier capacity, more manageable capacity than going to the board for those same type of projects. So it is definitely a fruitful. I've felt it's been very beneficial in my time at the county. So I'd love to have those discussions too, to see what projects or what that might look like at the city level. Also on the agenda will be grant opportunities. So I guess I assume that's just us looking at what's currently available.
Yeah, so I think this has come up a few times where commissioners would just like kind of a grant, Parks Grants 101 training, if you will. So yeah, we're pulling from the state parks page a lot of their grant information. They have a lot of different types of grants with different eligibilities and different types of projects. And so I think in May, it'd be good for us to run through those with you. And that also kind of helps you prepare for our June meeting where we will get more information on some projects and dive in to some affordable priorities within our 5-year plan and start building out that plan with those projects. So kind of be thinking about that. But we'll try to give you this primer on state park grants, which includes some federal pass-through funds like the Land and Water Conservation Fund at that meeting.
Great, thank you. And who from your department is the main grant applicant, or who's the one who fills out a lot of those? Is it kind of by whoever discovers it? Is there a subject matter expert who normally would do that for you guys?
Well, we don't really have anyone. That's one of our issues that we're hoping to build some capacity for in the next couple of years. Right now on your screen is Amy, and she's honestly the main one right now. But we are working on partnerships and building some of that capacity. The Buffalo Park grant that Amy talked about was a partnership between her and Martin Ince, our multimodal planner. So they've been kind of tag teaming that one. In our open space team, Robert Wallace and his team, Sylvia Struess, that works with him, they apply for quite a few of these grants. And that's something we have to keep in consideration, is not competing with ourselves or others in the city that might be interested in the same grant funds. But yeah, so for now, it's like Amy and me or other managers. But we're trying to set up a plan so that we can be more successful and have more capacity in the future.
Wonderful. Okay. And then we'll leave a couple spaces on the agenda for things as they may come up, but I do feel like a discussion item A is going to definitely take some time and a lot of discussion on that one. Is there anything any commissioners would like to see as either an agenda item on May's or a future meeting discussion point? Does anybody have anything they would like to see discussed? Okay. Well, keep in mind, Jeff, if there's something you want us to circle back to, or want to make sure is it something we discuss at one of these meetings to let myself, Rebecca, myself or Rebecca know, and or Rebecca know that you would like something on the agenda. We'll make sure that it gets on there so we can have a discussion on it. Otherwise, it sounds like we have a good start of a meeting for next month. Gosh, all right. Any final thoughts? Anything else? Anything we forgot to do? It just seems like it went by so quick. Which is great.
I think we thought we'd give you guys a little bit of a break this time, especially knowing Chair
Yeah.
Conway that you have an engagement to get to. So thanks to all the commissioners for being here. Really appreciate your time as always. And Councilmember Salas, thank you as well.
Thank you guys for your time. You guys are here late on a Monday as well, and so really appreciate you guys putting all this together. Getting the minutes and the notes and the monthly highlights and the meeting invites and all the things you guys have to juggle to make these meetings happen on a monthly basis. So thank you for that. Thank my fellow commissioners for joining me today. Let's get out of here and enjoy the rest of our Monday afternoon. Thank you so much, everybody. I think that's it. Goodbye.
See you guys. Thanks.
Bye, y'all.